Hey guys, let's get into the energy of this weekend. Of course, we have some big time astrology playing out right now. We are heading into a very active energetic window between the 5th on Friday and the 11th. The moon is actually transiting the signs of Pisces, Aries, and Taurus, where essentially all of the planets are located right now. There could be an uptick in activity coming over this next couple of weeks. We are in a period of rising action, and of course, this weekend is moving us towards the formal beginning of our energetic lunar New Year cycle that happens each year with the new moon in Aries, which is coming on Monday, which also happens to be a solar eclipse this year that, everyone's been talking about. This is a very big cosmic event, and we're in some very fated, destined times of epic change, really, is what things are looking like on an energetic level. We've got shifts going on this weekend as we actually close out our 2023 energetic lunar year cycle. The last couple days of our Pisces cycle, 2023, is what we are in this weekend. We've got Venus entering Aries. We do also have Mars and Saturn building into a conjunction in Pisces, which will be conjoined by the moon this weekend. There could be an internalized sense of irritation, agitation, frustration going on. There could be some hostility, some volatility that's just sort of building or very present in the atmosphere. And, generally probably picking up on a sensation that something is coming, and something is coming. We have this big energetic moment with this eclipse on Monday, and then a few days later we have a big conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter in the sky, which is another rare cosmic event that we are headed directly into. So let's get into it, you guys. Let's talk about how everything is coming together and all the details to close out our 2023 lunar year cycle and what things are looking like for us as we approach our new moon in Aries / solar eclipse on Monday. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, April 5th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, you guys, we are talking about the energy of Friday, April 5th through Sunday, April 7th, everything that we have going on this weekend, but this weekend also happens to be a bit more significant just in terms of the bigger picture, because these are the last couple of days in our 2023 astrological year. When we're talking about astrology, we look at the year in terms of new moons. So the new moon in Aries, this is the first sign of the zodiac. It represents, the rebirth of a new cycle of energy. And every year on the new moon in Aries, this is the beginning, the origin point of our energetic new year from a lunar cycle perspective. And, so if the new moon in Aries is the beginning of our astrological year, the new moon in Pisces that we are culminating and coming out of now is the last phase of that lunar year cycle. So we're in the last couple days actually energetically of our 2023 lunar calendar. Okay. So endings and beginnings really represented by just the general time period that we're in right now. And these new beginnings are definitely indicating some type of epic change, okay, considering that we also have the new moon in Aries this year playing out in association with this big total solar eclipse that everybody's talking about, that's already captivating so much attention. Of course, the fact that the new moon is a solar eclipse, the reason why that's even happening is because the new moon, the sun and the moon are coming into their alignment this year in very close proximity to the north node of the moon. When we have our new moons and our full moons in proximity to the nodes of the moon, that is what gives us our eclipse cycles each year. And, the fact that our new moon in Aries this year happens to be this eclipse, and not only, an eclipse, but also this total solar eclipse, which is a pretty rare and special cosmic event. And also the fact that this is happening only a few days before another big cosmic event, this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that is also a very rare happening coming into alignment just a few days later. This is also indicating some type of like big epic change, and eclipses happening with the north node and the south node of the moon. This is destiny and karma. These are always, more like divinely oriented, I guess we could say, destiny activating moments in time. Like the changes that happen during eclipses have a lot of times like a faded like air to them, you know what I mean? Just like a feeling of some type of like higher purpose or faded alignment or something like that going on. And so that is the nature of the days that we're in right now, and things are probably going to be unfolding in sort of a reflection of those very ideas and sentiments. So that being said, let's talk all about how energy is coming together this weekend as we are exiting our 2023 lunar year energy and preparing for this bang bang big time show represented by the new moon in Aries, the solar eclipse this year, which will play a major role in actually the overall unfolding of events all year long. And that's another thing about the new moon in Aries. Astrology is all about sort of like looking at snapshots of energy and moments in time, right? And the concept of the natal chart, and that's what the new moon in Aries really is for us each year. It's like the natal chart of our energetic year. So whatever is happening and playing out during our new moon in Aries on any given year has a tendency to explain or sort of like define the way that things are likely to unfold, microcosm, macrocosm, just generally throughout the course of that year. Okay, so the fact that we've got all this going on and all this big business, really big energy, big cosmic happenings going on in association with our new moon in Aries tells us that our lunar year, new moon in Aries to new moon in Aries, 2024, 2025, spring to spring, this coming up year, it's probably going to be, really life-changing in a lot of ways. So let's get into it. Let's start talking more specifically about how things are coming together, about where we're at. If you guys caught my last couple of videos, I was talking, my video for the breakdown of the month of April, I talked a lot about the first week of April. I talked about all the weeks of April broken down, but in my analysis of the first week of April, especially between the 5th and then moving through the 11th, we were really primed for a very active period of time, some rising action, perhaps like a series of events that is beginning to set up somehow, and that is because the moon enters Pisces and will begin to align with like essentially all of the planets in the cosmos right now. There's probably a level of intensity coming through between now, Friday, and the 11th. As I said, volatility could be a thing, and also just generalized like abnormality. On Friday, the moon will enter Pisces, will first begin by conjoining Mars, followed by Saturn. Mars and Saturn are coming into a conjunction over this next couple days, which is the energy that is priming us for these more like hostile, volatile situations. I will also say though, the high octaves of Mars, Saturn together, this is master builder energy. Be productive, okay? Like if you feel yourself or find yourself, feeling like you just don't know what to do, or you're going to explode, or like the pressure's too much or something, find an outlet in some way that you can like do something productive. Productive work, like concentrated effort, putting some like hard focus into something, being self-disciplined. This is a good offset to the more negative tendencies of this energy. So the more, again, like Saturn is discipline, Mars is the self and our action. The more we can discipline ourselves and discipline our actions over this next couple of, this period of time, the 5th through the 11th, while we're going through the eclipse as well, I do think that it's just going to provide some type of, beneficial something to like our circumstances that could offset some of the just more adverse ways that this energy can manifest as well. So the best way to use the energy this weekend, I do believe, is to do something productive if you can, to move yourself forward somehow towards a goal, towards a mission, towards redefining yourself somehow, towards starting something new, doing something that maybe you really enjoy or that you love as well, with Venus entering Aries, which we'll talk about. This is how we want to gear our energy. We don't want to sort of like let it like fester within us and bring us to a point where we feel like we're just going to either like implode or explode, because that could be things coming through as well. And there also could be like issues with authority figures, bosses, even you know, like parents or governments or stuff like that, that are maybe like weighing down us. We could feel just like very suppressed, limited, burdened over this next couple days. So again, like anywhere that we can use our energy to build ourselves up despite what may be weighing us down is going to be personally productive, like in the long run somehow. So there's that. But I mean, starting on Friday and carrying us through the 11th, the moon will conjoin Mars and then Saturn and then Neptune, and then move into Aries and hit Venus, and then there we are arriving at the 8th when the moon aligns with the sun and the north node as well. And then the moon will hit Chiron, and then the moon will hit Mercury retrograde, and then the moon will actually square Pluto, even though Pluto is not currently in this like little quadrant where all the planets are wedged right now, because he's in the early degrees of Aquarius. When the moon gets to early Taurus, the moon will also square and activate Pluto, and then move on and conjoin, of course, Jupiter and Uranus, which are drawing tighter into a closer and closer and more active conjunction as well. And so it's like by the time that we get to the 11th, the last set of planets to be activated by the moon are Uranus and Jupiter in their building conjunction. And it's like that actually, that moon alignment is what is going to like sort of begin tipping us over. Like if this week between the 5th and the 11th, if this energy is like the rising action, it's like the part of the ride where we're like going up on the roller coaster. And then the way I'm seeing it, to me, the Jupiter Uranus conjunction is like once you get to the top and you go down the other side and you're just a free fall, rolling, going with the loops of the track, and you know, don't necessarily know what's coming, and it just like all happens in a split second, just like this wild ride. And then, you know, I feel, and then as the last week of the month of April comes in, we are beginning to gain perhaps some perspective. This is like the falling action, and we are, you know, get about prepared to step off the ride, but you know, forever changed in some type of a way. So it makes sense that, you know, as we draw like towards the 11th and we get the moon coming into the alignment lastly with Uranus and Jupiter, we are then sort of like heading towards the very top and beginning to reach the peak or the climax in alignment with, you know, the 16th actually, which is when we have the conjunction coming in between Jupiter and Uranus. So between now and the 11th, it's this eclipse energy that we're dealing with, this new moon energy that we're dealing with, and we're going to be talking about it. There will be a video out for Monday featuring everything that is going on and playing out in real time in association with the new moon in Aries full solar eclipse on Monday. But you know, this week and between this period of time, the Saturn Mars conjunction is like the most significant alignment, energetic activation that we have going on, aside from, of course, you know, the sun and the moon in the north node as well. And like Chiron is in there. You guys, like the way that all of this is coming together and is all aligning right now, it's super, super profound, like from a higher level. This is literally a period of time of breaking like karmic cycles that have been in play for perhaps like honestly like thousands of years. as an energy reader, it's very hard for me actually to, verbally conceptualize the grandiosity of like the grandness and the majesty, the majesticness, and like the perfection and the precision of the way that all of these alignments happen to be coming together at this point in time. You know, it's like you can plan for it to be like more specific and like a better energetic representation of what the plan is right now, which really is about breaking karmic and generational cycles, transcending past states of victimhood, taking back personal power, stepping into our like personal authentic truth, and grasping, like aligning with the higher purpose, like our own higher purpose, like our like soul's higher destiny that we are coming to understand. And people are going to be living lives that they never would have conceived for themselves before we moved through this period of time, because we are actually transitioning ages right now. We are transitioning from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. Pluto is now in Aquarius, which will root these Aquarian frequencies into our reality over the course of this next 20 years. Aquarius is an energy about facilitating the proper unfolding of destiny, of the higher plan, of the proper organic and authentic expansion of universe. And in correlation with this process of transitioning into the age of Aquarius and anchoring these Aquarian archetypes and frequencies in our current paradigm, we are also in a process of coming back into a closer proximity with the galactic center. And this is why the phrase the Great Awakening is such a good description for sort of what's happening collectively right now and the shifts that we are going through, because it really is an expansion in awareness. It's Aquarius is an age of understanding. It's an age of information. It's an age that inspires self-actualization, because remember, Aquarius is an energy that tries to facilitate the the probability of potential coming into true fruition. And so especially with the North Node in the sign of Aries right now and all of this Aries energy, this process of, personal upgrade, stepping into our power, doing something new, going into a new direction, redefining ourselves, but in alignment with what has always been real and true and authentic to us. And that's why it makes so much sense that we've got the Venus energy that is being disturbed right now, because Venus is our values and our preferences and our how we relate to ourselves and others. And Venus has a lot to do with like our image, okay, how we identify and define ourselves, and the groups of people that we identify and define ourselves by, and the ideas and mindsets that we identify and define ourselves by, and like what we want and what we desire and what we attract and magnetize, and even what we create as a result of that. But we are needing at this point in time to redefine ourselves in alignment with something that is real, something that is true, something that is authentic, and actually a higher purpose or a destiny that is calling us forward right now. And we can't do that if we are still attached to the old version of ourselves, the old social groups, the old networks, the old connections, the old values, the old ways of relating to ourselves and the world around us. That is why we've got the South Node Libra, because we need to move forward into this new leadership era of our own experience where we are doing something new, but it is actually like the original thing, okay? So that's really like how all of this is coming together if we kind of look at the greater overall picture from a more holistic level. And the energy closing out this year, moving us towards that energy, is supporting that. We have Venus entering the sign of Aries this weekend on Friday as the moon prepares to go through this phase of the zodiac right now that is hosting this current precession of planets. Venus shifting from Pisces into Aries is likely to be like an energy or sensation that kind of resembles waking up from like a long, pleasant sleep, like a very nice, beautiful sleep, but waking up all like energized and refreshed and very like feisty and fired up and ready to go, like opening the curtains and seeing the sunshine and just like being ready to seize the day, wanting to seize the day, wanting to take action, wanting to do something new, wanting to like Venus in Aries is energy that has a desire to provoke things into happening, that wants to act. We're talking about Venus. This is our desires, our preferences, our values, and what we want. In the sign of Aries, this is action. This is, you know, rebirth, fresh start, surge ahead, do something, act, act, act. This is a very energized Venusian energy. So there is and then when we're coming out of the Venus and Pisces energy, which Venus really likes to be in the sign of Pisces. Venus in the sign of Aries, not so much. That's Mars's sign. And actually, Venus is not going to spend very much time in Aries at all. She is like rushing, you know, Venus in Aries loves speed. And in this case, Venus in Aries loves speed through Aries so she can get into the sign of Taurus. She's only going to actually be in the sign of Aries from April 5th to April 29th. So for 24 days, which is a very short Venus transit. So she's not going to be there long, but while she's there, another way that Venus Aries operates, aside from just this motivation and this passion to act, to get things done, to like, you know, also she is heading right towards and facing the sun and the north node in their conjunction, bringing us this eclipse, right? That is the future. That is destiny. Like, there is a desire to move things forward. There's a desire to act. There's a desire to get ahead. Venus in the sign of Aries. This is the sign of Mars, right? Mars is the ruler, warrior of the battlefield, all of that. And Mars is also about the self. Aries is also the sign of the self. And there can be a greater propensity towards conflict in relationships when we've got Venus in the sign of Aries. Also, you know, selfish desires on the low end of things, kind of an essence of putting one's self as the priority or as the highest value, really valuing like what we want when we have Venus in the sign of Aries on the lower end of things, of course, but you know, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. There's just a level of self importance when we've got Venus traveling through the sign of Aries. But I'm gonna say, I mean, look at what else we have going on right now, and I just got done describing a lot of it. This is a time of personal transformation. This is a time of redefining ourselves in the true nature of ourselves and like dropping the facade, like stopping pretending, like the people or the person that we were trying to be, the image that we were trying to maintain or whatever, you know, the mask that we were wearing in order to fit into a certain group or to get some type of outcome, or like the game that we felt like we had to play in order to receive something, you know, whatever. We're not doing that anymore. And Venus in the sign of Aries, for, you know, as I said, sort of maybe the propensity to be a little bit more like self-focused in terms of certain things. Like, this is actually, I feel like, what we need right now as we are in this process of redefining ourselves in terms of, you know, who we really are, what we're really about, what we really like, what we really want, like outside of the common conception or the group think or the societal norms or like, you know, all that, like the cultural expectations, like the group, our friend group expectations, social circles, networks. Like, this is where we are sort of saying, you know what, but I don't actually like that, and I'm not actually going to wear that, and I'm not actually going to hang out with that person, and I'm not actually going to pretend to like that anymore. I am not actually even going to go there. I'm actually going to focus on what I want and, you know, what I need to do to feel better about myself, or like what I need to work on, or what my plans are. Like, this is where I feel like we are kind of passionate maybe about putting ourselves first, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, we're just not going to continue to like involve ourselves or associate with, or there's just not a draw anymore. We're just sort of like over it. Like, there's not an attraction to anything that is not aligned with the direction that we personally feel that we are heading next. So it's like, if you're not getting on the train with me, like if you're not, you know, going in this new direction, like if we're not going the same way together, it's just not a part of the vision and the view and the draw and, you know, what I value moving forward. So I feel like this Venus Aries transit is actually quite productive in the context of like the other stuff that we're going through right now. It is, you know, requiring us to learn to maybe love ourselves again, or love this new version of ourselves that is emerging now, putting ourselves first somehow so that we can recreate ourselves and move forward in a different way. So if you're feeling, you know, over this next couple of weeks, just sort of like, you know, stay out of my way, like don't tell me what to do, like I'm gonna do things my way, and I'm not really like open to suggestions. Or if you're dealing with other people, you know, who are acting that way, that I feel like is sort of just this general vibe right now. But like I said, this is going to be a shorter transit, just, you know, 24 or 25 days. But a lot is going to be happening over the course of these 24 or 25 days. It's also, you know, in the context of Venus's current transit through the sign of Aries, and, you know, this brief period of time that she's there, keep in mind, this is also when the big energy is activating in her sign, okay? She's very, very, very involved in both of the eclipse and the Taurus, or the Taurus, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, of course, because that big conjunction happening in the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, and then she's in the sign of Aries, you know, coming into proximity with the sun in the north node, and she's also ruling the position of the south node for the total eclipse that we have going on, which is significant. And we are also in a full moon, couple of weeks, a full moon cycle right now, as we are closing out, heading towards the new moon in Aries, which was in Libra, Venus's sign, with the south node. That's why we had the lunar eclipse. So, you know, the Venetian energy right now is really what is being dissolved and what is being radically reconfigured somehow in quite a profound way. Venus, of course, rules Libra, relationships, connections, values, justice, harmony, peace, balance, art, beauty, and also Taurus. This is resources, assets, food, projects, partnerships, economies, finances, you know, love and money, friendships and connections and partnerships and value systems, and the resources that we use to build foundations that can blossom and bloom and turn into abundance and joy and pleasure in our physical reality. This is what the Venus energy is indicating. And, you know, with the south node there, big eclipses going on, and also Uranus and Jupiter in her sign, like this is the energy that is really going through the biggest changes right now. And then put her in the sign of Aries, it's because we need to redefine ourselves. We need to we need to figure out, you know, who we're going to be, who we're becoming, and we need to be a bit more self-focused in terms of allowing ourselves to reintroduce ourselves as we move through this next couple of weeks here. So I find it to be important and significant that Venus will be transiting Aries while we have all of these events playing out over the coming weeks. Remember also, you guys, Mercury is retrograde right now. Mercury is retrograde also in the sign of Aries. The desire to act is going to be strong with Venus in Aries and Mercury in Aries, okay? The desire to jump into things, to, you know, maybe perhaps not think too much and just kind of take off in a direction. But this is not a good time to do that, even though that's probably the tendency, even though that's probably the drive and the urge. Mercury retrograde in Aries, Venus having just entered Aries in this eclipse window, and Mars, the ruler of the sign of Aries, in Pisces with Saturn. Not a good time for significant actions, purchases, investments, deals, and contracts, or commitments of any kind. Things initiated now will likely not take root of any kind, will probably fall apart, will probably not come to anything, will probably end in some type of disappointment somehow, and will need to be corrected. That's a big red flag in the energy that we have. It's just, this is a time for, honestly, like, letting things play out according to, you know, the fated nature of what needs to come to pass right now. It's not a great time for kind of like putting our own individual like ego needs and desires like into the picture. Like if things are happening for you that are happening, you know, from that are just totally out of your control, and like you've got, it's just how things are coming together and you've got no choice but to, you know, move in a certain direction. It's clearly being indicated by the way events are just transpiring around you. That's one thing, but this is not the time where you want to go involving yourself in things that are not coming to you in this energy. Venus moving into Aries is going to shift the vibes somewhat, you know, maybe again, like fire us up on some level, wake us up, shake us out of maybe some type of slump or just some type of lull that we perhaps have been in over this past couple of days with both Mars and Venus in the sign of Pisces, stirring up maybe like an inner ambition or passion, again, to act, to be independent, to move forward, to get something done, or even to fight, okay? Venus is what we like and what we desire. Aries can also be a sign of conflict, so we are more primed for battle, especially also with Mars and Saturn together. Like people are just probably going to be getting into it, and honestly, like having a bit of a time of it with whatever comes up as well. Very feisty energy. And again, this is energy that likes fast things, but we don't want to just jump in head first because like this is a time of corrections. This is a time of mistakes and missteps as well. I was saying in my last video with Mercury retrograde right now. So there's that. Now, aside from Venus entering Aries, we also have this Mars-Saturn situation to talk about. As I said, Friday, the moon enters Pisces and will begin conjoining Saturn, and then Mars. Like this is the building volatility and hostility. This could have us feeling this internalized sense of irritation, annoyance, frustration, just maybe like, oh, you know what I mean? Like angst, sort of, probably having to do with other people, maybe specifically women or authority figures like bosses, government type of stuff that we're dealing with. It could also provoke some very passive aggressive type of energy as well. Pisces moon is notorious for avoiding conflict and avoiding difficulty, and then we've got Mars and Saturn there as well. Yeah, this could be some type of like active avoidance of duty or responsibility, or like taking accountability for something somehow. And again, like that is not, I feel like, the way that we want to play it. The more responsible, the more self-disciplined, the more present and willing to, you know, do the work required of us to get, you know, move ourselves forward somehow. Much better way to use the energy than trying to escape reality and refusing to participate or acknowledge or take accountability or responsibility, perhaps for some of our past actions. Saturn being the past, Mars being actions as well. But, you know, honestly, people are probably just not likely to be in the best moods ever Friday and moving into Saturday, with the moon conjoining both Mars and Saturn in Pisces, and also, of course, Venus moving into Aries. This is also like a feisty, not holding much back type of vibe going on as well. Conflict with authority, also maybe in terms of commitments, or as I said, government, bosses, or partnerships or projects could be causing issues. Also, when we're dealing with Mars and Saturn together, this brings up the contrast between versions of things. For example, like an older and a younger, master and apprentice, like a general and a soldier, a boss and a worker, right? Father, son. Saturn is like the old disciplinarian, you know, the commander, okay? The judge. And Mars is the warrior, is the youthful masculine energy. So with these two together, there could be some type of issues or contention or conflict going on, or just things coming to a head between maybe vying for power in relation to a younger and an older generation of something, okay? And then, you know, this could also be bringing forth the desire to escape from things. Escaping things and facing them head on with the double octave Piscean energy are the polarities that this energy is likely to be expressing. But again, you know, facing things head on, taking accountability, doing what we can to be productive and to use our energy to build, to work, to do something, to move ourselves forward somehow. The better way to use the energy as we go through the weekend and head towards this new year coming on Monday. So things are definitely heating up right through the weekend. Emphasis on Mars and Saturn, emphasis on Venus entering Aries. We'll talk more about Mars and Saturn. This is also like, it's a very volatile energy. We'll talk more about it as we move into the energy of next week, but it really could be bringing, there could be issues. There could be like military type of things going on, like war drum type of things going on. This whole month, we're also in sort of like a fog of war type of energy. There also could be like undersea or underwater, like implosions or explosions or attacks or things to do with deep sea or under earth stuff somehow with the Pisces energy. This could also, another thing, really lower energy and vitality levels. People could be much more prone to, catching a cold or just being sort of like wiped out, like very tired, like lacking energy. Saturn represses and limits things. Mars is our physical vitality, and the sign of Pisces also does not necessarily support like the most robust energy levels. So we could really find ourselves feeling quite drained as we move through the weekend too. And if you do feel that way, it's really kind of just like par for the course right now, where there's a very high strung energy going on, like a frazzled energy with the expanded Uranian energy that is building and growing each day, sense of anticipation, this nervous tension in the air sort of, and then coupled with the Saturn Mars conjunction in Pisces. You really want to take good care of your physical health over this next couple of days. Take it easy. Don't push yourself too hard physically. Try to stay grounded, try to rest. And again, like, try not to be a vessel for the energy. If you feel yourself dealing with this internalized sense of frustration and stuff, like, move your body, like work on something that can like assist your process or move you towards your goal or just be productive for you somehow. I really do feel like that will probably be probably help, at least in some ways. So yeah, things are heating up, even though like it is a Pisces moon, which usually is the most like chill and laid back sort of time of the month, but definitely just not in the current dynamic of things. And remember, we also do all weekend have the sun in a conjunction to the north node of the moon, very fated moments in time, very necessary occurrences, significant events that are like realigning a trajectory for the future. Like, the things that are happening now are directly necessary in terms of what will come to pass moving forward. This weekend could definitely be testing us. That's another thing with Mars and Saturn together being activated by the moon. This whole period of time over this next several days, this whole month really is sort of like a test, and we are overcoming. Like, again, this is a cycle breaking period of time. Like, we're going to be facing, I feel like, some things that we've been through before perhaps, but a lot of people are going to be seeing them in a different way and making different choices and never going back to the way things were previously, following everything that we go through throughout the course of the month. So tests, yes, the name of the game right now. Like, don't expect things to be easy over this next couple of weeks, but expect yourself to excel, expect yourself to perform with excellence, even if you don't see a way right now. Like, we need to believe in ourselves. We need to trust the plan. We need to put our best foot forward. We need to, trust our ability to get the job done. We need to do what's right, even if it's not what's easy in this energy. This is definitely a period of time where doing the right thing, even if it's the hard thing, like, that is how we pass the test in this energy. That is how we break through these cycles in this energy. And again, prioritizing our goals, prioritizing our progress, prioritizing like the vision of who we're becoming and the mission that we're undertaking, or the purpose that we feel ourselves aligning with, or the destiny that we're being called towards, something along those lines. Okay. We are in life-changing energy, endings and beginnings. probably also more of a social vibe that we have going on, especially in the energy of Sunday. On Sunday, the moon will enter the sign of Aries, joining Venus, preparing to set us up, of course, for our new moon that is going to be happening on Monday. But Venus in Aries, this is a very outgoing, this is not an introverted energy. This is a very outgoing vibe. And then when we put the moon there as well, this is, you know, for sure, just a more extroverted social energy, but it is also primed for conflict. This like rebellious, feisty sentiment going on. Like, why don't you try and stop me? Okay. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to be kind of stepping forth into the world with that type of energy, for better or worse. Again, there's a reason, you know, why we have Venus transiting Aries. I feel like while we have all this stuff playing out, it's because we really do need to sort of put ourselves maybe first in some capacities, at least in the capacity of the changes that we're making to ourselves. And this energy, like, I feel like what this is doing is it's supporting us in actually being able to move on from things, because it's creating such a strong like pull towards the future focus, and like desire to be able to express ourselves and stand on our own 2 feet and like redefine ourselves and step back into our power, that I feel like it's helpful and supportive and sort of like tying up some of the loose ends and finally releasing ourselves and detaching from maybe the old identities or the old ways essentially that we had defined ourselves and defined our reality, but are not a reflection of the greater purpose and destiny that we're being called to, that we are awakening to during this epic time of great awakening, as we move through this energy and the cosmic blueprint does its thing. So, you know, I do think that we should do our best to maybe slow our roll a bit on Sunday. Again, moon in Aries, Venus in Aries, Mercury retrograde in Aries, Sun in Aries, North Node in Aries. Like, this is energy that is like so gearing us to want to take off in some radical new direction, especially with all of the anticipation and the anxiety and the nervous tension and electricity in the air as a result of the Uranus, Jupiter, and then also just like the angst and the irritation, the frustration, and the like, we don't want to be personally suppressed in any way when we've got Mars and Saturn together and then Venus in the sign of Aries. Okay, so there's probably going to be, you know, a strong desire, a strong tendency to take action to make something happen, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We don't want to get too full of ourselves. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew. We want to simmer down a little bit if we can, you know, try to put things in perspective. And again, all that energy, focus it on, you know, how we can be productive in our own lives, in our quest to redefine ourselves, to move forward somehow. That's how we want to gear the energy. But, you know, big investments, deals, negotiations, things to do with other people, things to do with the 3D matrix and, you know, investments, all that type of stuff, I would try to, you know, not get involved if possible. Okay. At least, yeah, like in terms of connections and consumption as well. But it's a very passion provoking energy, and as I've said several times, very future oriented. And Sunday being the last day of our 2023 lunar year, there is probably perhaps this burning desire to like leave the past in the past and get on with what's to come, like get on with the ride. We can feel it coming. A lot of people are probably picking up on it. And it's like we want to know what's next, I think. Could be where we're at on Sunday as we prepare to head into the energy of Monday. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. Again, this big energy of just generally endings and beginnings, but it's like the end of an era type of energy, not just like the end of a year. Like, this is definitely, we are closing. It's not that we're just like starting a new chapter. We are like ending a whole book and starting like a whole new one. And it's not the same story that we were reading before. It's like a whole new it's a whole new world, you guys. So let's get a synchronicity card now. God, Spirit, Universe, what's a piece of advice that we can use that will benefit us as we move through the weekend? And it says, rest, relax, and believe. That's, you know, with the Mars Saturn energy, like it's gonna be real hard to make a whole bunch of progress unless we are just doing, you know, sort of like things in our own bubble that are productive and that require, you know, effort and concentration and focus for the long-term productivity and future success somehow. This is a good weekend to be in our bubble, be a little bit hermit mode, and not, again, like just not get too ahead of ourselves, okay? Rest, relax, believe. He feedeth among the lilies until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. Song of Solomon 2:16 through 17. Take refuge among the lilies of God in heaven and dwell upon the concepts of joy, harmony, peace, beauty, and divine law and order. All your plans, journeys, and undertakings will prosper. Continue in this abiding trust and faith in God until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. And that's funny considering we've got this big eclipse coming up, which is of course a shadow over the sun. And when that's over and when we move forward, you know, I just feel like this is saying that things are, we need to trust the process right now. We need to keep like our eye on the prize. We need to be answering sort of like the call of our soul, and you know, have faith that this new path that we are walking will be a joyous one and will bring divine law and order into our lives. And we don't need to rush it, okay? We don't need to rush it to get there. This weekend is really the ending, and next week we are moving into the beginning. So the time for action will come. However, rest, relax, and believe in the meantime, you guys. That's what I have to say for our energy of this weekend. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy or be interested in this type of astrology content, narrating the shift of the ages with us. Leave me comments, you guys. I really am very grateful for your presence here. I really appreciate your feedback, knowing how this energy is affecting you. If you're having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you are interested in what I got going on this whiteboard, I have a link in my description box below to a Facebook group where I post these images. Janice Shellman, the creator of the synchronicity cards, also posts the synchronicity cards in that group if you want a closer look at those. And come back with me, you guys. Come back with me on Monday, of course. We've got this big solar eclipse, new moon in Aries, that we need to talk about. Very, very important astrology. And gonna give us a real good idea of actually what is to come throughout the course of our next energetic astrological lunar year cycle. So I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful weekend, and until next time, bye guys.